Hi, this is Anthony Baney from the Buffalo Cannabis Movement. We're here to talk to Domin Cannata and Chris Kiebzak. Domin Cannata is from Colorado. We're going to talk about the laws that are happening in Colorado, obviously, after their referendum to vote to fully legalize cannabis for recreational purposes under 2 ounces in public, I think you can carry around.
If you're out of state, it's a quarter ounce.
So, obviously the Buffalo Cannabis Movement is pushing for legislation, the Buffalo Marijuana Act, but also we were drafting the Buffalo Cannabis Act, which would be more like Colorado. So, Dom, how do you like being in Colorado, man?
It's pretty sweet. Do a 360-degree turn, and there's mountains everywhere I look. Weed's legal, obviously. It's a good selling point. It's nice, convenient, being able to go in the store and buy it, and not have to go to a guy. My money's actually going to help some stuff. I'm not just putting it in some drug dealer's pocket.
Do you feel watch going into dispensaries? Do you feel people in Colorado have law enforcement that watch to make sure that the age restrictions are enforced?
I mean, there's not people watching the dispensaries in person, but there's cameras everywhere.
Right.
They've told me that there's microphones in the room and stuff, so they definitely monitor it. And you can't even, on the recreational side, you can't even go in the room unless you're 21.
Right.
And on the medical side, you can't even go in the room if you don't have a card. So they're pretty strict on that.
Right. So the medical and the recreational sides are pretty much two different entities there, right?
Yeah, some buildings it's 2 different rooms. In some buildings it's one side of the room is roped off and that's medical, and then the rest is rec.
Is one more easier for criminals to break in with or screw with than it is on the other side, or are they both pretty much monitored the same exact way?
It's really strict.
Okay.
Every dispensary I've been to, they don't mess around. They do everything exactly by the book. They follow a strict code, because especially with how everyone's against it and are trying to repeal the laws, they don't want to make sure they have no violations. They want to do everything by the book, make sure everything's legal.
Do you notice a lot of people having to stand up for their rights from the state through the federal government? Do they ever pose a huge threat anymore that they were in the beginning?
I don't really see a federal government posing too much of a threat. At least from what I read in the newspapers, it's mostly just lawyers who are super conservative, who are against it, who are just saying, oh, Colorado's choosing to ignore federal laws that are allowing all these illegal drug dealing rings to go on in the state.
So this is their way to make money, pretty much, and sort of latch on to the other people who feel the same way that they claim to feel, correct?
Yeah, well, and a lot of the businesses too are super against it, especially in the tourist towns. In my county, the town of Breckenridge, they this past December just passed a vote to not have any dispensaries on their main street. And there used to be one, it was called the Breckenridge Cannabis Club, and they were forced to move onto Airport Road, which is where pretty much all the other dispensaries are. And I feel a lot of the businesses, they didn't want that, and they had a lot of signs saying, no marijuana on Main Street, we want responsible weed and crack. And that's mainly because I feel they're afraid that having dispensaries around is going to hurt their business and hurt the tourism, because they want to have the image of being a family center.
Well, if they feel it's so dangerous, why do you feel they just lump it all into one place, not only destroying the revenue for those companies, but also any crime or anything that may come from that? Why would their answer be to lump them all together, all the dispensaries in a close area?
Oh, that's just kind of I guess the weed districts, they want it, it might be easier for them to monitor if it's all in one area. There's just one spot they have to watch, and not 5 different locations.
Right.
And stuff. I don't know, and I guess also because it's Summit County, it's a really small area. It's not like Denver where they can just have weed shops everywhere.
Right.
There's very limited space.
Cool. All right. What else you got to add?
Yeah, you're a medical card holder. How was going through the process of becoming a medical patient in Colorado?
It's not super hard. you do have to have a condition. You can't just go in there and say, oh, I need a card. The way I got it, the dispensary that I'm a member of, they have doctor days once a month where if you feel like you have a condition that would require it, you can go to the doctor. Usually it's set up in a hotel across the street from the dispensary, and pretty much you would fill out the paperwork. You would talk to the doctor, tell him why you would think you would need it. If your condition qualifies, he would note some stuff down and then send it out to, I'm not sure who, I think it's some company in Denver. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure who they send it to, but then they either approve you or deny you. You have to be a Colorado citizen. When you show up there, you have to have Colorado ID. You have to pay up front for the card, so if you do get denied, you don't get your money back. It's just money down the drain kind of thing. But yeah, it doesn't take that long. I got my card within a month. When after you sign up for your card, they give you a temporary card where you can shop on that on weekdays. You can't shop on weekends on your temporary card, but then you can shop on that until your card comes in the mail. But the thing with that is then after you get your actual hard copy of your card in the mail, once that expires, um, you can't use a temporary card until your new card comes in the mail. You only get the temporary card when you first get your license. So when your card, you should renew your medical license about a month before it expires, so that way it comes in time.
So that temporary card is only used in the beginning.
Yeah, when you first sign up, they give you a temporary card, and then you can still use that, and then you can still get denied a few months later. Then you have like about a month being able to shop medical.
Is there any particular reason for weekends being off limits for temporary card holders?
I'm not really sure of the reason why that's the law. That's just what I was told.
Right.
Yeah, that's the law in Colorado. When you have your temporary card, you can't do weekends.
Right. It's sort of interesting though, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That 5 days a week you can go on your temporary card and buy medical marijuana, but
I think it's interesting that you can shop on a temporary card before you can actually officially get approved.
Right.
Once you get approved, you don't get a temporary card when you're waiting for your renewed license to come in.
Right.
So I hear a lot about security in the dispensaries, but how is the crime rate in the area you live in, and how do you feel the crime rate is in the whole state of Colorado? I mean, obviously it's not burning to the ground, as some people would have mentioned that it has.
Well, the county I live in is kind of like a more wealthier mountain town, like a lot of like richer people and a lot of the ski resorts and stuff. So there's not too much crime. Most of the cops pretty much worry about DUIs and domestic violence. That's about it. There's not really a lot of robberies or shootings or anything. Not really much violent crime. In Denver, it wasn't really that much of a dangerous place to begin with, but since they have legalized recreational marijuana, the crime rate actually has gone down. It's put a lot less stress on the justice system. I feel like, cops are able to concentrate more on, actually enforcing laws that matter and not just, putting people away for something less harmful than drinking.
But the fight's not over though in Colorado, because there's still a lot that needs to get done. What are some of the things that you think need to get done for, Colorado to be full recreational legalization of cannabis?
I think they need to allow smoking in a bar, kind of like how you can drink in a bar. An example, this company Grassroots, they're a really popular hat company. They have a location in Denver, and they had a break room in the back of their store. It was not really in the back of the store, it was behind the store. It was a completely separate building, and it was considered a safe place where you can go and enjoy cannabis in public in a social setting with other people, meet new people. They were really strict in monitoring it. They made sure no one was selling anything inside of the store. Well, not even, there wasn't even a store inside of the club.
Could you compare it to like a smoke shop in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam?
Kind of, except it wasn't a coffee shop. It was strictly just like a smoking club. It was like a place you can go, and it was like just a room everyone can go in and smoke. They made sure everyone was 21. You had to be 21 to be a member. You had to pay a monthly fee for it. They made sure you had a designated driver before they would even let you inside. Like if you were going in just planning on smoking, they would make sure you had a designated driver, or you would have to have a cat come pick you up. They wouldn't give you your keys. And then eventually, word got big about it. Obviously, smoking club, people are gonna find out about it. And then eventually, they got forced. Well, pretty much the landlord of the hat store that had the smoking club, they were told that he was told he was gonna have legal issues if he didn't evict the hat store. So he's forcing this business to have to evict themselves and move to a different location and lose a lot of revenue. And like they have a huge sale now. Pretty much everything's 80% off in their store because they need to get rid of it to move it. Um, they are now also facing all these legal charges. They're being charged of running an unlawful marijuana shop and distributing it illegally. And they weren't distributing it at all. No marijuana was ever sold there. People had to come there with it. People weren't allowed to sell marijuana in the place. Everyone was 21. And yet they're being told, their store can't be there anymore when their store itself broke no laws because of that.
And obviously ran by people who want to take the whole thing where stoners just sit on a couch and watch movies all day, and they want to put those people in a social setting, which is obviously what smoking cannabis is supposed to do. Not just where you sit there and get bored. They're trying to make your area so it proves why cannabis should be legal, not only medicinally but recreationally.
Exactly. Like you can go out into a bar and drink alcohol with people and still potentially drive home.
Absolutely.
And you can't go out and enjoy cannabis in a public setting with other people. It's like
Even
you have to come to my house. Like that's the only place you can smoke.
So what are some other things that needs to happen for Colorado to be fully recreational legalization in terms of even federal policy?
I think it needs to be federally legal because of the jobs here. They can still choose to not hire you if you fail a drug test, if you get injured on the job or do a certain amount of damage on the job and you fail a drug test, they can fire you. And my medical marijuana cards are paying, but like if I had cancer or if I had glaucoma or leukemia and stuff like that, and I had a job that drug tested you and marijuana was the only thing that worked, you'd be screwed. Like, what would you ever do? It's like, I can't use this marijuana that I know is a safe thing for me, but yet I can take these pills and I'm operating power equipment and it can impair me in that. But that's federally legal, so that's okay. And I can still have a job and fail a drug test for that if I have a prescription. But like for the job I have now, I had to quit smoking in order to be able to get hired, and I wasn't able to use my medicine.
Yeah, that's it's definitely still much of a fight. You were involved with some of the Buffalo legalization movement stuff back in 2012. Did you start it off? And
yeah, it was a few months after the whole Occupy Buffalo movement ended. We actually hijacked that news stream once with the legalize it signs. Got the word out.
Do you still have your legalization pin on your hat?
Which pin?
The Buffalo Medical Marijuana Act pin?
It's actually on my other hat.
This is some history. A lot of people, and Dom actually knows the history of how these pins were made.
Plated in 24 karat gold. These were made for the legalization rally that me and Tony here set up in 2013 actually, I think, was the rally, and that's when these pins were made. Kind of see it. It says Below, New York on the top, and it's got a gold buffalo on it with the medical marijuana logo engraved over it, and below it says "In Jah We Trust."
Yeah, and who had made those?
His name is Jonathan Shrimp. He's a really good dude. He lives in California now, but he was a real advocate for the legalization movement. We had a low turnout at the rally that year, but he was the first person there despite the bad weather. He brought a whole crew of people with him. They all had signs. They were super passionate about it.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Absolutely.